2.
All right, welcome back. We're Youngzers, episode 33, I believe. Yeah, 33. So we're getting up there. We're in the 30s. Long time coming. Little recap from last week. I didn't say anything yet to the guys, but I'm the winner. I'm the champ. Draft champ. Easy money. Landslide victory all around. You can't deny it. It is a landslide, and I definitely had the best draft. The people know what they're talking about, and it's time to give me my flowers a bit. So I don't know.
Why don't you win with some class like I did last week? That's what I thought. See, because you don't have the class. You don't have it. See, you done pissed me off already. We're 56 seconds in, and you pissed me off.
I said congratulations are in order. I didn't really hear any congratulations from you, Dan. So
you're not going to. You're not going to. See,
I see a lot of sour Sallies in here.
No, if you weren't like demanding it, I would have congratulated you. But you want
to demand. I didn't say you have to say congratulations right now. I just said they're in order.
You're expecting it. Win with class next time, then I'll congratulate you.
Expecting it. It's just a known thing. I think some people just don't know how to congratulate when they win. And you know what? I said before, let the best man win. And I guess it turned out to be me. So that's all I got to say. I had a good lineup. Some people were saying I had the Shaq and Kobe 1-2 punch. But hey, what are you going to do?
That's all you had. That's all you had. That's all you had.
No, it was deep. I went 60.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Well, anyway, let's move past that. I knew it was going to be a touchy subject. I just thought I had to throw it out there pretty quick.
I don't mind. But congratulations, Ryan. Congratulations.
I know.
See, that's the thing. If you would take it with class and you would win with class and you wouldn't have to rub it in. Who won the first one? That's what I thought.
Barely.
Hey,
I've had the first
I was undefeated there. I was undefeated.
Congratulations on your week 1 win again, Dan.
Thanks, bud. I appreciate you.
Class. Yeah.
I'm sure you'll pull one out here.
I mean, I'm constantly in second, so
we got a big one today. If you guys want to do it,
we'll see how it goes. Okay. We'll see where we're at on time and stuff. But
I'd like to save it for next week.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to. Okay, but yes,
it is Selection Sunday next weekend.
It is
Sunday.
Ooh, yeah.
That's live pod there. We still doing
big.
that?
What time is the selection show? Isn't it early afternoon? 1, 2, or is it night? It's not night.
No, it's afternoon.
I thought it was 1 or 2. Yeah.
I'm probably not going to be around in the afternoon, so it might not be a live one for me, boys.
Right.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. We're really looking forward to a nice, all have our gear on, getting ready to rip. Dan, how's your team doing, Dan?
Huh?
How's your team doing? Where are they at?
They just Iowa State. They just beat somebody big. They were fringe in there. They dropped out. They were out of the top 25. They'll make the tournament though. They should.
Yeah, they will.
How's Indiana?
They're in a battle right now. I don't know if they won or lost. They just won?
I mean, they're top 15 now, I believe. So
yeah, them and Michigan were in a battle. I didn't see who won though.
I didn't see who won either.
So, Virginia's Virginia still. I have nothing on them really. They've been winning. They've been losing a couple, but they're gonna be, I bet, 4 or 5 seed. If I had to guess, 4 or 5.
All depends on how they play in the ACC tournament. They win the ACC tournament. They could be a 2.
They could be a 3. No,
you don't think they could be a 2? Okay. Even win the ACC?
If they win it, they'll be a 2.
Yeah.
So that's what, top 8?
Yeah.
Top 8. Yeah. I'd say lowest they'll be is a 5. Highest they'll be is a 2.
I mean, what we're overlooking really is we're looking at a year where UNC will be missing the tournament, and Penn State and Pitt are on the inside looking out for a good. Pitt's basically locked in. Penn State's on the right side of the bubble right now. But what a turn of events this season has been. You love to see it.
And you know what?
Love it.
It was justified. It honestly was. We got robbed 3 years ago. They snuck that under the rug. The tourney was canceled the COVID year. UNC didn't make it. You know what? People forgot about it. But who is it? Father Time, undefeated. He always comes for you. He don't sleep. He keeps receipts. And they didn't take it on the chin last time. And you know what? They got a little something on their chin this time. So,
and I think I think I saw Roy Williams' vertigo acting up at the end of the Duke UNC game last night. It's always there. He's always lurking. I don't know how to describe him. You say his name 3 times in a mirror, he's gonna pop up and appear. He's basically the Beetlejuice of the college basketball world right now. Take a page out of Coach K's book. You don't hear from him often. He's out there enjoying retirement. He doesn't need the limelight. Is Roy? He might be an attention whore. I'll come out and say it.
Yeah.
He's overshadowing the program right now.
Honestly, he's got all those plaid suits and blazers on. I think it kind of is. There's no respectable man that I've ever met that wears a plaid suit. You got to have a solid blazer, and that's it. He can't be wearing all this plaid and, pomping around. Like, I don't know. Is that just me? Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. And I think Motts is absolutely right, too, because that takes away from the program and the coach that succeeded you. And you want that coach to do well. You want that coach to succeed. But when you're there sucking up the limelight, and every time at a UNC game and they're panning Roy Williams, like, who cares? Like, that's the thing. Like, Coach K, I'll give him props. Out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. And that's what it should be. You are no longer a part of that program. You don't recruit for them anymore. You don't do anything. You are retired. Just leave. Go get a condo down in Florida and go play golf every day. You're at that age.
Him on TV, yeah.
Like
I mean, you look.
Go ahead.
You look at the coaches that retired last year: Coach K, Roy Williams, Jay Wright from Villanova. You don't hear Jay's enjoying retirement. He said that. Coach K laying low. Roy's, he's acting like he's the main attraction down in the Dean Dome. People are, buying their tickets to see him in the crowd, yucking it up. Good old boy. Get out of here. You retired. Own up to it. Just leave the program be. Let them get their identity now. No need to be peacocking around. It's just, I don't know. It's attention whoring at its finest.
And go ahead. I got a big point to make. Go ahead.
What a switch up it was, too, because everyone thought it would be the other way around. That Coach K would be that guy, like, creeping around, like, always in the games. And he has been to games. I've seen things of him at games, but he's not on TV. It'll be, like, a Duke social media account or something saying, like, Coach K is at the game. Like, but he's not sitting, like, front and center, like, aisle seat with a big, stupid, whatever colored shirt on, standing up at all times. He's always standing. Roy Williams, what are you doing always standing? Like, sit down. There's people behind you. Come on now.
I get it. Even athletes have an itch and you don't want to walk away from the game. I get that. But you are retired. Enjoy your retirement. Don't overshadow this program. And I'm all for supporting your team, but you're there to just support them. You're not there to coach. You're not like ex-players. You're not there to play. Just stay out of sight, out of mind. Get a nosebleed seat. If you want to support your team, support it. But he's almost an earshot of the bench and stuff. And he's going to probably be barking. Enough of that. Like if I retire tomorrow, do you think I'm going to go down to my job, next week and just stand around and watch? No. I'm going to get as far away from that place as possible.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're totally right. And for a guy that supposedly has vertigo, he's doing an awful lot of standing at these games.
Yeah.
That's basically a safety hazard in itself.
It is.
We're going to have to clean up the Dean Dome a little bit here. You got to take out the you got to take out the trash a little bit. I'm not saying take out the trash. You got to clean up the aisle, put some butts in the seats, lay down the law. I mean, he's turning into the next Jimmy Boeheim. He's they're always in the headlines for something. I mean, Roy's not pissing himself yet or running people
that we know of.
That we know. Yeah, he might get a little excited during the games. We don't know. We're not there. But just stay out of the headlines. Enjoy retirement.
Yeah.
You're all things considered. You're one of the greatest coaches of all time. In college basketball. Just give it up. Let Hubie Davis. Let him take over. Let him have his moment. Now.
And I feel so bad for him because he's just overshadowed. And I'm sure at after game, post game, they might talk to Roy Williams and be like, "Oh, what would you do here?" It doesn't matter what he would do. You have a head coach. You have a guy there that is there to lead your program, and you're almost just pushing him to the back burner, it feels like. And I do feel bad for him.
Yeah. That's all I got on that topic, other than what a monumental miss from the AP one preseason pick to be not even in the tournament. Like, has that ever happened? That has to be a first.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's insane to me. Insane stat. People don't forget. Put that in your pocket. Yeah, just remember that, I guess.
Swept by Pitt, you know, and
Swept by Duke.
Yeah, well. I did want to say if Roy Williams wanted to show up to Duke UNC games, that's fine. I'm cool with that because that's your in-state rival. That's your biggest rival. It's one of the biggest rivalries in sports, in collegiate sports.
It's a good game to be at.
It's a great game, right? It's a great atmosphere. I know it gets nasty. They're great games. A couple years ago, they both had the same amount of wins, like in the season series or in the series together. Same amount of wins, same amount of points, all that stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. So that's a good matchup to maybe show up, but just that one. But I'll leave it at that. I'm done with Roy Williams. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave, piggyback off your last point. That's like Ben Roethlisberger, showing up, division rivalry game against the Ravens, getting the crowd going. You don't see him putting on a dinner and a show for the fans, when the Dolphins or the Seahawks.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You know your time and place. So that's all I'm saying too. Know your role.
Yeah.
Final thought on the rivalry. What an absolute joke for LeBron James. You see his tweet he put out?
No.
Yeah. He's like, I had a dream last night. I was at the Duke UNC game, like sitting back, shooting the shit with Michael Jordan, and the score was 99-99. And right when like the game was about to end, he couldn't see the winner and he woke up. And I'm like, how much does this man have to lie and just BS to try to like look cool or like relevant? Like, dude, like we get it. You're a good athlete. You don't have to like fabricate like your dreams and your stories. Like how your dreams cannot be that elaborate. No. Like if you're at a basketball game, you're not remembering like a whole conversation with Jordan or the exact score of like a game or like with 5 seconds. Like, come on, dude.
I'm
like,
not a man, no baby. Yeah, that just tells you what kind of I'm sorry, but as a human being, I don't like LeBron James. Great athlete. He's in an argument for one of the greatest NBA players of all time. Sure, if you want to put him in your top, fine. Longevity helps with all that too, but I'm just going to say this real quick. Giant piece of trash. I can't stand that guy. To go out of his way and not be excuse me. Oh, karma's coming for me already. But to sit at a pregame interview and be all upset because he wasn't asked about certain incidents that were going on in the country because he's wants to be such an advocate, and I'm fine with that. That's fine. But those interviewers weren't there to ask you about, what was going on in this city and that city and the racial divide in this nation. They're there to ask you about basketball. So that's when I soured on LeBron, and it happened not too long ago. It's just he wants to be because he has this stage and this pedestal that he thinks that anything he says on any sort of topic like that, any political topic, that he's right. And then once you get all upset when he's not asked those things, they're not there to ask you that. They're there to ask you about your job and what you do, and that's play basketball.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead.
I say my main gripe is just how much he fabricates like stories, and then during playoffs, he has like a copy of like I forget what book it was, like The Godfather. It was like the bookmark was in like the back of the book, and they ask him like, "Oh, like what's your favorite part?" or like, "What's your favorite part of the book?" And he's like, I don't know. So like, dude goes as far as just carrying a book around with like a bookmark in it.
That's the thing.
Like, he's so corny. He's just corny to me. Like it.
No, I'm by no means do I want to get into any kind of political thing, but it was something written by Malcolm X, and he wants to show that he wants equality for people of color, which is fine. There's no problem with that. But when they asked him about that book, and he come up and fabricated some BS, he just wants it to show that, oh, well, I'm reading this, but he's not reading it. Because then the bookmark will change. He had it for like 3 years in a row, the same book. I understand people read the same book over and over. I mean, look at Coach Davies reading GGS. I mean, he loves that book, right? You get an Ivy League education in a single A school. You got to love it. Guns, Germs, and Steel, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, that's all that's it on Duke UNC. Got a little tangent going there, but what do you want to go into next? We got the big topic of the
real
pod.
quick. Selection Sunday starts at 6 till 8. That's what it's saying here that I pulled up.
Yeah.
So
I'm a TBD for that. Yeah, TBD for that.
That's fine.
Yeah, we'll see.
But
I don't know yet.
Before we get into, this is the Pirates episode, the Pirates preview. We want to touch on the Pens trade deadline before we move on.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we'll touch on it. Ron Hextall's an idiot, first off.
Yeah. He's handcuffed. I'll lead off here.
He handcuffed himself.
He did. But the only move that I'm okay with, I know we lost Bluger, but you fill that role with Bonino. He's great in the face-off, phenomenal. He blocks shots, so he's great on the PK, and he's more versatile than Teddy Bluger. So I think that's an upgrade for your bottom six. Other than that, you see other teams in your division, like the Rangers, loading up. They got Patty Kane. They got Tarasenko a couple weeks ago, so they're loaded up, but they're playing hurt too. A lot of things need to fall into place. I like the team that they have now. And I feel better now, especially after coming off 4 games in a row winning, and then I know they dropped the ball last night. But and you can't drop that game to a team that's behind you, as you're pushing for the playoffs. But I like this team that they have now. A little bit of grittiness. I think their bottom 6 is a little more solidified. A little bit. I like the way Drew O'Connor's playing. He's playing like that power forward-esque kind of hockey right now. Beautiful goal the other night. Same with Zucker.
Yeah.
Zucker, I think Zucker's goal was even better. There was it the first period. Pettersson hit him with that long bomb against Tampa. So they've showed that they could play with them big teams like Tampa, for instance. But then they get their doors blown off by lesser opponents sometimes. But it's going to be exciting to watch coming down the stretch here for sure.
I mean, a lot of the moves they did were to clear cap, for the next few years. Dmitry Kulikov, they acquired him for Brock McGinn and a pick. He's off the books after this year. Wasn't really a great defenseman at all, but granted, he's in Anaheim, so he could be, a solid bottom pairing if he needs to step into that role. Mark Friedman's back down the AHL. Other than that, I did not like the Granlund trade for $5 million, adding another old, bottom 6 guy, especially when you still have Jeff Carter. I don't think that was money well spent. You were able to get out of Kapanen and McGinn's contracts, which was great. And then you go and do that, which I would have rather seen them get a bigger body for that third line that can kind of bring some oomph to the bottom 6, because they really don't have that, bigger body guy that can throw his weight around. I mean, Archibald does, but he's small. And you have guys that, I just think the bottom 6 is better, but I don't think it's by much.
No.
So I think a lot of the moves Hextall did were just lateral moves, and it was only incrementally better. So what does it do? They clear a lot of cap out for the next few years, got rid of some bad contracts, but they brought another one back in. But I do like the Bonino move. I did like that. Granlund, that was probably my biggest gripe. Not a big fan of that at all.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from how I saw it, it looks like, I told Andrew this earlier in the week, but they're moving, say, the top 2 lines. That's purely offense. And what I saw was those moves at the bottom 2 lines. It's more like, hey, these are gonna be our shutdown guys, while the top 2 lines kind of, I don't know, get their legs back under them on the bench and send them back out. Just those 2 especially if they getting Bonino back. That's how I saw it. But I don't know. I think it's like Andrew said, nothing too crazy. It's not like the signings we've had the past couple years where we're getting someone like Raquel that they're going to be a nice piece for Sid to play with. But I don't know.
I also look at the Bonino move as, all right, they were going to be moving on from Bluger after this year anyway. So they were able to get him off the books for the rest of the year. They got some draft capital back. They got a 3rd-round pick out of it. But Ryan Poehling is going to be the 4th-line center for the next few years, but he's been, injury prone this year. He's had a nagging injury all year. So Bonino slots into that 4th line where that's like an insurance policy down there, because Poehling can play the wing too.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if they can get fully healthy, what the combinations are down there. I would honestly, it'll never happen. Jeff Carter, I think,
Scratch
should
him.
be scratched.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just going to say that. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I don't think it'll happen, but I would not be surprised if they scratched him, especially if he goes on long droughts and he's not playing up to his level. And you could tell he's not. And who did get that defenseman, Kolikov or whatever? Look at like a Justin Schultz, who we acquired him years ago from Edmonton. He was dog shit up there. He was, honestly, flat out. And then he came to the Pens organization. He was one of our best defense. I'm telling you, I think he was better than Letang and Dumoulin when he was here. Case in point, they took Letang off the top power play and put Justin Schultz out there. They did. It happened. Now, back to you want a big bruiser guy. I understand. I do too. But that's not Mike Sullivan's way of hockey. That's not his style of hockey. It'll never happen. We had Ryan Reeves for, 18 games, something like that, 20 games. Never played him because that's not his style.
Well, I'm not talking about an enforcer like that. Like a name that I saw that was available that was never really linked to the Penguins, but you're probably familiar with him, Scott Lawton, longtime Flyer.
Yeah.
He's a guy on the bottom six that can score, but he also throws his weight around.
Yeah.
He's like sandpaper to play against. That's the kind of guy I want them to bring in. Not like a strictly enforcer kind of guy, but someone that can do a little bit of both, like a Tom Wilson.
Yeah, the one name I heard that was kind of linked to the Pens, but they wanted not too much, but they wanted quite a bit. Was that Anderson from up in Montreal? Bigger guy.
Yeah.
So that was a possibility. I know it didn't happen, but I understand, and I totally agree. They do need a little bit of grittiness, a little bit of sandpaper. Somebody who you want to have your head on a swivel every time you're out there, and he's out there. But I think if Drew O'Connor can throw his weight around, he's not big, but he's bigger. Archibald's not afraid to stick his nose. Same with Zucker. So we got guys that'll throw the body, but I think the highlight of the trade deadline for me was that Bonino trade, because all except Austin Matthews, of all people, have more blocked shots by a forward in the NHL today. Nick Bonino is number 2. Austin Matthews is number 1, which is hard to believe. So you know that he's not afraid to get out there and block shots, play the PK for you, take them crucial draws in the PK, in crunch time. So, and my buddy Bruno texted me and asked me about the trade. I was like, I like it. Not because he's an ex-Pen, not because what he did on our cup runs those 2 years, but because what he does, what he brings, what his game does for this lineup.
I don't think he misses much either. He consistently shows up.
Yeah.
So that's another good thing. That's another thing that I think the Penguins have struggled with a little bit.
Yeah, just health. Yeah, and that brings me to this. It was shooting the shit with my old man and our powder man Tommy Scott. They were asking me about the goaltending situation. I was like, I heard possibly John Gibson, and my old man's, well, he's a couple years older than Jari right now. I was like, I understand that, but he plays every game. He's there. Jari's a big question mark. He is. And he's on a contract year, I believe. Correct? So what do you do at the end of the year? I know I'm foreshadowing here and I'm looking ahead, and I don't like to do that, but we're going to do that. What do you do there? If you could get John Gibson...
I'm not giving him a lot of money.
You can't give Jari a lot of money. I mean, he's phenomenal when he's in there, but when's he going to be in there? He was supposed to start last night. He was sick. He's sick. He's got lower body injuries. He's got this. He's got that. Well, the game he came back after missing all them games, he got hit in the neck. I was like, he's going to be out again. But thankfully he wasn't. And I understand, bad things happen. Accidents happen. You're out there skating or whatever. You pull a groin. It happens. But it's all the time. And especially a starting goaltender, you can't have that.
And that's the thing. As a professional, I don't think a lot of athletes understand that. Especially the ones that do frequently get hurt. They think that, like, if they're a phenomenal player, for example, that they're hurt all the time, that they still expect that money that these guys that show up every day that are at the same level of them are kind of getting. Like, to translate that, that's what happened to Kyrie, basically. He wanted this big extension with the Nets, but he wasn't playing for whatever reasons, and he wanted all this money, but they said, we're not paying you. You didn't show up to work basically for 6-7 months.
Yeah.
So I don't think Tristan Jarry should be shocked come summertime whenever he's not going to get as much money as he thinks he should. I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
See, I wouldn't be surprised if he does because goaltending is such a, that's where you typically used to, still a lot of money being thrown at young goaltenders, even though Jari, his injury prone. When he's healthy, I mean, he's a two-time All-Star. Those kind of goalies don't come out on the free agent market too often. So, do the Penguins, there's no real internal options for them to, DeSmith stinks. They have, really nothing in the minors right now that can come up and do, anything at the NHL level. So I think they're kind of backed in to paying Jari. I don't think it's going to be an overpay. He might get maybe a 1 year prove it, probably not, but a 1 year prove it deal. Stay healthy, play for a little less money. You have a good year, we'll give you that extension. That might be the case because, he's not healthy. He was sick last night, missed the game. I think if he's in net, I think they beat the Panthers. That's not a stretch to say either. He's just head and shoulders above DeSmith, in my opinion. So, it's going to be a weird offseason, I think, for Jari, where he was really banking on this year, being healthy, showing what he can do. And he is, but he's just not staying healthy when he is on the ice.
To bring it into another sport, he's almost got the TJ Watt esque to him. He can change a game. He can steal you a game. It's not even him stealing a game, as in giving you that timely save, getting big saves, and bailing you out because your defense is not as good as it was the past few years. It's just not. We went over that. They've lost some key pieces. They've traded away some key pieces. They let some key pieces walk. But he is head and shoulders above anybody we have, and I understand that. But you got to stay healthy. That's number one. Because at the end of the day, this is a business. And a lot of athletes don't understand it, and they think that these organizations and these franchises should stay loyal to them. Why? When you're not healthy and you can't be out there helping our team, why should we give you any more money? Why should we give you any money? We could let you walk. I agree. If they give him a prove it, go out there and do what you can, then we'll pay you We'll pay you the year after. If not, hey, see you.
Yeah. That's what it should have been this year, honestly. But that's the woes of the Penguins. I don't know who they got this week, but I think they're on the upswing. They usually play pretty well in March. I'm gonna stay optimistic on them. I don't know. What do we think playoffs at this point? Are we gonna sneak in?
I think they get the second wild card after that.
That's what I'm
thinking. They got the Blue Jackets, Islanders, Flyers, and then Rangers.
You need at least 3 of those 4 games.
So
I mean,
you should beat the Blue Jackets. You should beat the Islanders. You should beat the Flyers. The Rangers.
The Islanders are right there with us, though.
Yeah, but so I don't.
They're not that good. They're like playing better than they should. Right
now. I think they're a year or two ahead, just like Buffalo. Buffalo's sneaky right now too. Since we're talking hockey,
it's like the Rangers of last year.
Yeah. No, the Rangers loaded up, and we got them Sunday. Yeah. We got a back-to-back there. But there's no travel. Both home games. All 4 home games. So you got the Blue Jackets at home, Islanders, Flyers, Rangers, all at home. Let's just see if PPG can, be rocking and you got it. You got to come away with 7 points there. You have to.
My pick of the week: Penguins 4-0 this week.
I like it.
4-0.
I like it.
Right.
Rubber stamp it.
Every night I'm taking them.
Rubber stamp.
I'm putting money on them every night.
All right.
So that's Pens talk on the upswing. We're a little happier than we've been previous weeks, I'd say. But do you want to get in the hot topic of Pittsburgh sports right now?
Yeah.
Nothing else going on?
I'm ready to take over this Pirates preview. I've been doing the research, been watching everything I can. I'm into listen, before I see Dan roll in the eyes, I give them a lot of guff, but obviously we want to see them be better than what they usually are, which is I'm not gonna use the words. But I'll be honest. I put a bet down. A little gambling talk here. I'm taking the over of 67 wins.
I think we established that last week, right?
7.5 wins. But I'm stamping it today. 33rd episode. I'm telling you, over 67 wins.
What is that? Plus 500?
Can you alternate line it?
Can
you alternate line it? Can you change it a little bit? I'll stamp 80. I think their floor's 70, their ceiling's 90.
I was going to say, I think they'll win 70 games.
I think their ceilings might be 90. Absolute, like if
Really?
they play
Like,
I think 90.
See, that could be realistic just because the NL Central might be like one of the worst in baseball.
yeah.
The Cubs are horrible, the Reds are horrible, and you'd figure the Brewers aren't. They're good, but they're not. I don't think insanely above the Pirates as they were in the past.
Their owner went to arbitration with Corbin Burns over $700,000. Cy Young winner.
Yeah.
And you go to that's a Pirate move. That's a Bob Nutting.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals are always I don't think in my lifetime there's been a horrible Cardinals team, has there?
No. I saw a stat. Was it last year? The Cardinals are the only team in the NL Central to never be the worst team in the NL Central back-to-back years, and they've only been the worst team in the NL Central like 4 times.
Yeah.
So
they're historically a good team.
They are.
If you ever see the wall in their outfield, they got legends.
Yes.
They got receipts.
Yes. They got some numbies.
Yeah.
All right.
But I think division-wise, their floor is 4th, right? Above the Reds. I think the Reds are locked for last. They ain't gonna be worse than the Reds. And I think at highest they're gonna be 2nd above the Brewers, Cubs, and Reds.
I don't think their floor their floor is 3rd with the core that they have. I don't see the Cubs being good. They're trash. The Reds traded everybody away, trash. I think 3rd. Oh, pumping the brakes. And I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna educate you. I'm here to educate today. There's some big gaps, I think, in the Pirates roster. So I'm gonna break it down by position for you guys. And
I have a little bit of idea on every position. I know like the big names. I'm not as intricate as you, Andrew. I know you do your research. You're like the researcher of the squad, Dan's like the showman, and I'm just like the sprinkler of information. I get the tidbits. Or I don't know.
What was the public speaking lady's name? I can't think of it off the top of my head. In school.
Checkvala.
Yeah, Miss Checkvala.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Miss Checkvala. She told me first day of public speaking. She told me, "You're either really good at public speaking or you're a great bullshitter. Which one do you think I am?"
You're one of the best bullshitters to ever come.
That's what she said.
But speaking as the Pirates, I've watched spring training games for a couple hours if they start at 1. I watched a little bit of the one today, so I've seen some guys that they've caught my eye that I think might be all right, and I think there are most of the positions are established, but I do think there are a couple holes. I think the biggest things would be pitching. That's all I'm gonna say for my preview of the preview before I give it to Andrew. I think there's gonna be some woes with the pitching, and I think there's gonna be some woes maybe behind the plate and at second base. I think second base is a weak point. I think catching might be a weak. I don't know, Andrew, take it away. I think catching too.
Just real quick, Motts, whenever you start ripping into it, I'm gonna bark in there too. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we'll play it by ear.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start at catcher. Obviously, they brought in Austin Hedges as one of the premier free agent signings. He's the guy behind the plate, but after that, it's a little tough to say because I'm gonna get into the organizational depth. Endy Rodriguez is the catcher of the future. There is no doubt about that. Henry Davis, the number 1 pick, I think he ends up being their long-term first baseman. I think he moves there. So after that, you have a bunch of guys that are basically non-roster invitees. At catcher, though, you don't really have a lot. Tyler Heineman, who was with the Pirates a lot last year, he doesn't really inspire me. Jason, same thing. But I think the backup catcher ends up being Kevin Plawecki. He was with the Red Sox. So was Rich Hill. So I can see that kind of being, remember Chris Stewart and was it AJ Burnett back in the day? That was always the pitcher catcher duo. I think that's what's going to be behind the plate. It's going to be Hedges and Plawecki until Endy's ready at probably next year, I'd guess. I think sooner than later you'll see him there. So I'll let you guys chime in for catcher. I'll wrap that position up.
Yeah, I thought Hedges as well. He was gonna be the clear, probably opening day starter. I did see some stats where he was like one of the second best defensive catchers in the league, which honestly for the Pirates, good for them. I feel like they've done the Pirates fans more justice this year with who they were signing. I know it wasn't going to be some kind of big splash of a sign they're going to make. But you know what? I think we have a young core, and they did bring in some veterans that are going to teach these young guys like the ways, just teach them the ways of how to play baseball at a major league level. And I think bringing in guys like Kutch, Rich Hill, and just all these veteran players. Who else? Santana. Would you consider Choi a veteran too?
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's good. It's good for the Pirates. The lineup's going to be a lot more exciting than last year. I thought last year, where these veterans are getting plugged in this year, this is where we were getting those no-name guys that we didn't like to see, like the Michael Chavises, the Ben Gamels, guys like that. We're not going to see that. Josh Van Meter, yeah. We're not going to see guys like that this year. I think it's going to be an exciting year to watch Pirates baseball. It's not going to be a World Series run. It's not going to be, divisional leading season, but you're going to be able to tune into games. You're going to be able to see competent baseball. Our younger players are a year older. You're going to be able to see games now where it's not going to hopefully be a 20-0 run, 20-0 game against the Cubs. But I think we'll see more meaningful baseball this year is what I'm trying to get around. We're not going to be eliminated by early June. I think they're going to be still sneaking around come July, late, maybe even early August.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely. And like you touched on, Ryan, the veterans they brought in, so that leads me to first base.
Hold
Obviously,
up.
Yeah.
Hold up.
Oh, sorry, Dan.
Yeah, let me touch on the catchers real quick.
Dan's a catcher. So give us a little insight on a catcher.
So
Dan.
To me, the most important position on the baseball diamond. I know everyone says pitcher, but who's receiving that ball? 99.99% times out of 100, they're calling the game. The only exception to that is Max Scherzer. I don't know if you guys saw that. He's got his own pitch tracker, so he's telling the catcher what's coming. Austin Hedges, veteran, great defensively. They've been blessed the past couple years. They had Jacob Stallings. I mean, Gold Glover. You can't say anything. And you trade that guy, and you see last year there was a hole there, and it's huge. Offensively, catchers are not gifted. You're there for one thing, and that's to block the plate. Be the most important person. You're the shot caller out there. You're the quarterback. You see the field from a different angle than everybody else, and you call the game. So I think that Austin Hedges will be just fine there. And like you said, Andy Rodriguez, once he's ready to go, is the future. And having a guy like that around, if he could get up here soon enough and just learn and watch, it's kind of like a veteran quarterback teaching a rookie quarterback or a second-year guy. You learn a lot. You do. And catching is so important. I don't care about his batting average. I think, what was it? I think I probably weigh more than it.
200. Yeah, it's under 200. Yeah.
But I'm not looking at that as he's not going to be your stud at the plate. They never are. Catchers never are. There's exceptions to the rule. I will give you that. A couple guys, like the guy from Kansas City. Yachty was okay. Perez.
His leg was turned into Legos.
Gary Sanchez would just pound the ball out of the ballpark. But that's when he's playing at Yankee Stadium, and that's a joke.
Muto is probably like the prime example.
But that's the thing. You don't hear about catchers leading, silver sluggers and stuff like that, batting averages. Mm-hmm. So for what he's here for, I'm okay with. I think it's an upgrade from what we've had last year. So
yeah. Oh, I agree.
So
I see it as a prime defensive spot too. I was gonna say that's the only weakness you could see about him is like his bat, but you
almost accept that because every team's gonna have 1 through 9, correct? Mm-hmm. So you put him in the 9 hole. It's just like having a pitcher out there hitting.
You got DH.
But even whenever they didn't have the DH. You had a weak point at the bottom of your lineup. Every team does. Not every team 1 through 9 is going to be above 250, 280 batting average. It's just that doesn't happen. So you're going to have weak points, and it comes with the territory. But as long as your like your WAR, your wins above average and stuff when you're in there, and your defensive what is it called? Like defensive assisted putouts or something like that. If you're there doing your job on the defensive side behind the plate, I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Andrew, where do you want to move on? You're running the show on this. Where do you want to go next?
Yeah, we're going around the dime. We're going to first base. Ryan, you talked about the veterans they brought in. So last year is basically a turnstile at first. They threw a bunch of shit at the wall, saw it would stick. Spoiler alert, nothing did.
No.
And this offseason, they brought in two guys, G-Man Choi, left-handed hitter, and then Carlos Santana, who's the veteran of the locker room, with Kutch. But this was the guy they brought in first, a switch hitter. So neither of those two are really phenomenal defensively, obviously. But, you'll have one of those guys on the diamond. Usually you'll have one of them, at the DH. So I think that position's pretty locked in there too. Obviously, they try and move some guys around it, in spring training at first to see who can play there. But as of right now, it's definitely those two guys. I think that position's basically locked down.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. It's just gonna be Santana and Choi. Basically depending on the handedness of the pitcher, maybe. I don't know.
Well, yeah,
that's probably
your opposition, like the opponent's pitcher.
Yeah.
And then one of them will be the DH.
Yeah.
So that's how I saw it as well.
And there's not really much in the minors too. So maybe a couple years, next year or a year down the road, they're gonna have to move some guys around. Or like I said, Henry Davis. Hopefully he'll be ready. But the first base, there's not really much there in the minors.
It's so hard to hit on a first baseman. We've seen it for my entire life. Besides Josh Bell, but he wasn't great over there, and he started in the outfield. Look at guys that try to prolong their careers, like a Joe Mauer. He played behind the dish for all them years, but then he tried to transition to first base. It is so hard. First base is a very difficult position to play because you got to read the play very, very quick. Am I covering? Am I getting the ball? This and that. It's not an easy position to play, and the Buccos cannot get it right over there. I don't know why.
And the other guy they have in camp is Drew Maggie, and they had him. He went to the Phillies. He came back. He's 33 on a non-roster invitee. He's hitting the cover off the ball right now, but. He's an old Italian.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Remember how do you like Pittsburgh? Drew Sutton. Drew Sutton came in. This was probably 10 years ago now, at least. Hit a couple dingers. The announce crew's going crazy, and then he's back in the minors in a week. He won't make the team, but that's the only thing they have, and that's a problem.
Yes, and it happens all the time. But I don't want to see Ben Gamel's over there, Michael Chavis is over there. I don't want to see that. These utility guys, so to say. I want them to have a set lineup. It's okay to have a guy that can play multiple positions because it's a long season. People get tired. People go through slumps. You can plug a guy in there, but it was all the time. You didn't know who was going to play first base last year. Or the year before. Or the year before that.
Half the infield and at least probably a third of the outfield last year were, just utility players on any given night. Yeah. You're not getting a consistent lineup.
And I was okay with it when it was Jay Hay and he was your utility guy, but you had a guy. That was it. One utility guy, not utility guys.
Another roster. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I think.
Yeah. So, we'll just keep moving around the diamond. Second base. A little bit of a question mark there. Not really set in stone, but I think Rodolfo Castro is definitely going to be the starter. He has that pop. He's leading the Pirates in spring training and runs batted in. I think if he can hit around 250, 260, and he provides some power, he's solid defensively. He's not going to be a Gold Glover. But like you said, from top to bottom, you're not going to have a stud at every position, especially if you're the Pirates, because you just don't spend money to begin with. So, he was a little immature last year. Obviously, you saw he was pissed when he got demoted. He had his cell phone out on third base, sliding in. Everyone remembers that. But he's got the pop in his bat, and I think he's the opening day second baseman. After that, though, this is where it gets a little tricky. I think Ji-Hwan Bae is going to be the backup second baseman. He's speedy. He hits for contact pretty well. He can get on base. He's a good defender. He also plays a little bit of center field. I think they have him primarily listed actually as a center fielder.
Yeah, outfielder. Yeah.
I think I don't think Tucupita Marcano is the he had his chance last year. He didn't do anything with it. And there's nothing else really. I mean, they brought Chris Owings in. He's doing okay, but I think it'll be I think it'll be Bae. That's what I think. It'll be Castor and Bae at second base.
Yeah, this is where I think there's no clear answer. I think who's Tamar? What's his name?
Tamar.
Is he coming up? Is he second baseman coming up, or what position?
They have a bunch. Like Nick Gonzalez is there too. think he's going to be a bust.
So
I'm
I
sorry.
don't think we're gonna have a clear second baseman for a long while. But I agree with Andrew. I think Castro is that first guy that we're gonna see. But I don't know. I think this is gonna be the biggest question mark position where they're gonna put the hot hand. So we're gonna see a utility man in this spot more often than not. I've been watching the games. I don't know if Castro has it. I don't. I have a feeling he doesn't. But I think we're gonna see a lot of Ji-Hwan Bae there, like Andrew said, if he's not playing in the outfield. But I think he's one of those utility guys that can go either outfield or infield. And I think we're more well versed in the outfield, so we'll see him more in the middle infield. Because I think that's the Pirates' big weakness, middle infield. So we're gonna see those three kind of maybe playing by committee, playing the hot hand. Maybe Marcano. I don't know. I think it's to be a hot hand position. That's just my opinion.
I don't think the middle infield's their weakness.
It's just second base. Yeah, second base.
Second base.
But the other guy to consider is Leover Peguero. He's blocked at shortstop by O'Neal Cruz.
Yeah.
So, I think he's one of, if not the top, prospect that they have that's probably close enough to make an impact. He came up from Double-A for a couple games last year. I think they switch him out to second base. I think that would be not long term because Tamar Johnson, maybe Nick Gonzalez will be there. But if you want him playing, you have to move him from shortstop and maybe try and get him to fill in at another position. Even if you're just going to be a backup or a spot starter, I think second base is definitely the place where he'll have the best opportunity to contribute. But that's just another guy to keep an eye on.
I think it comes down to a lot, just like first base. What's the opponent's pitching hand? Because Rodolfo. Oh no, Rodolfo switch hits. Okay, okay. So, but I like his game. I do, as long as he can mature. Honestly, but if you could move Peguero over there, that's fine too. Or you put him on first.
Who?
Peguero.
No. If anything, I think did Castro play first? Maybe 1 or 2 games last year, but no, Peguero, you don't move him.
Bae playing first? Ji-Hwan Bae, you think? I don't know. Those are the two positions, first and second.
That's the thing. Like, first base is so tough, and they try to plug anybody in there. If you can find somebody that fits, I think that their infield is just fine. With we're going to go over shortstop and third base here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just lock, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll just go right to it.
Yeah.
That's O'Neal Cruz, Brian Hayes.
Yeah.
That's their territory. No one's taking
next 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years.
And O'Neal Cruz, he had a strong ending to last season. The only thing I hope he fixed is, I know he defensively, there were some, I remember throwing errors last year. He's whipping the ball over people's heads. I think that's just growing pains. That's just coming with, more experience, game experience at the MLB level. He only played half a season, right? He was brought up after the All-Star break.
After, yeah. So it wasn't even a half season. It was like 60 games at most, I think.
But for half a season and how much attention he's getting and how much, especially media attention the Pirates are now getting just from whenever he's stepping up to the batter's box. I mean, this alone should get you to tune into a Pirate game just watching this man bat. Just an absolute unicorn, a 6'8" shortstop that people thought, hey, this guy's never going to make it. The Dodgers threw him away to us in a trade thinking, hey, this guy's 6'8". He ain't going to play shortstop. But hey, I mean, I'll take that deal for Tony Watson again in a heartbeat. Because that, I feel like that's the fleece of the century. Tony Watson for that. The Pirates are usually on the opposite end.
Yeah.
Look at that Chris Archer deal. But hey, look, we're thriving. We fleeced the Dodgers.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But here's the thing: when it comes to trades, hindsight's 2020. Because the Dodgers needed some relief pitching, and
we wouldn't have kept him anyway, wasn't he?
No,
he would have
probably walked. Anyway. Yeah. So, but then they take a flyer on this O'Neal Cruz, and he's your biggest star since, I'd say, Kutch.
Yeah.
And you didn't even draft him.
No.
That just shows how bad the Buccos are at drafting. I'm sorry, but keep Brian Hayes at third, lock. Also, I think it's a damn shame that Nolan Arenado is in the NL with him, because he's never going to win a Gold Glove until Nolan Arenado retires. Honestly, that dude
got last year. He should have won it over Arenado.
He should have. I totally agree. But Arenado's won the last 8. Why not give him 9?
I think the main thing that got Cabran Hayes was these old baseball hardos that saw him eating seeds that one time. They're like, we're not giving you this award because you're eating seeds during a play. Still understandable, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know.
But it comes back to, I can even make the argument, so many people should be in the Hall of Fame that aren't because of these old writers. Like, they never played an inning of professional ball in their life. It should not be voted on by writers. I'm sorry. Even Gold Glove, let their peers in their opposite the opponent coaches and stuff. Let the coaches of the MLB vote who should be Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers, MVPs and stuff, not writers. Because just like, you know, the MVP for hockey, people get snubbed all the time because of writers. Mario should have won that one that Gretzky won in like 93 or 4.
And also, like it or not, and I know everyone has different opinions on the PED era and whatever else, but those guys, those are what put asses in the seats for 10 probably years, and they saved baseball, I bet. Like, I don't know. I just think baseball is so backwards as for media relations and anything else. But
us three right now would not be having this conversation about the Pittsburgh Pirates if the steroid era never happened. And then you're going to put the president of baseball that was overseeing the steroid era in the Hall of Fame, but you're not going to put those players in the Hall of Fame. Get out of town. The MLB is so ass backwards. It's a damn shame. It's ruined by these old people old white guys that just want to ruin the freaking game. It's ridiculous. I'm tired of it all the time. It's the old white writers. Like Ron Cook turned his damn
sunglasses on. Get the sunglasses on. Cut the promo. Go get the sunglasses.
We have an emergency promo. I love it.
Also, yeah. All right, live radio. Dan's getting his sunglasses. He's absolutely cutting one right now.
Ron Cook should have his MB or his Hall of Fame writing privileges stripped from him. If you're going to turn in your Hall of Fame ballot blank.
Oh,
and then the year before you put Torrey Hunter on there just because he was a good guy. Get out of town. These writers are ruining baseball. No wonder it's a dying game. They got to put a pitch clock in to keep people interested because the game takes too freaking long. It's a damn shame that you're gonna keep these athletes out. You're gonna keep the home run king out. The guy who the greatest baseball player to ever live, Barry Bonds, is not in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame because he gambled when he was a coach, and he didn't even gamble against his team. Like it's a damn shame that baseball is the way it is. It's so ass backwards. It's a damn shame. I rest my case because it's just a damn shame that it is ruined. A game that I grew up loving and wanted to play baseball my entire life is ruined because people think. Here's the other thing: when they would interview people, a lot of the times Barry Bonds is an asshole. Fine, I get that. Didn't want to give an interview. If he did, he was real nasty with the people, with the press.
I would too.
You're going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame because he hurt your feelings, back in the 90s, back in the early 2000s. Get out of town. You're in the wrong profession then. I'm sorry. Grow a pair. These are professional athletes. These are grown men. They don't want to talk to you? Left Diddy.
Yeah, there's levels to, like you said, the ass backwardness and just, the unwritten rule kind of things. And that's why I think baseball's a dying sport. So, look at Fernando Tatis. He hits, an absolute dinger to, where. And he gives a big old bat flip. But, that's frowned upon by everyone. If I was in the major leagues and I hit a home run, that bat flip that I'm giving, that's 1,000 times worth. That thing's going into the crowd. I'm celebrating. I'm running backwards. I'm spinning around the bases. I'm taking my good old time. If you would not want to see the day if I'd hit a home run in the major leagues.
Bob Walk got all pissed off because that dude from the Reds, I can't remember his name. Last name started with a D. Was wearing his chain, and he was hitting dingers off the buckets left and right that one year. And he was like, his dad would be rolling in his grave, or his grandfather would be rolling in his grave if he saw him do that. That's the world we live in now. It's not old-timey anymore. People want to be flashy. People want to, have the swag and stuff. That's the world we live in.
That's what sells. Look at every other sport. Look at every other sport that's thriving. People love that in the NBA. People love those celebrations. They're yelling Kobe. They're doing a little 3 to the head, everything like that. Look at OBJ. Like, he started a whole new movement, like this touchdown celebration, little TikTok dances. That's what gets people going. The gritty Justin Jefferson.
What are we hitting the gritty? Like
it catches up the times.
The flashiness it
and
sells.
Golf needs to too.
Golf's fine. Golf's fine. Don't touch golf.
I'm okay.
More
more personality in golf. More personality, at least.
It's a Richie game. Yeah. But that's the thing. You see all these athletes with their chains on and stuff. Okay. I don't mind that. You want to have your drip on. You want to have
allowed chains in.
You are. Baseball. They're allowed.
But you can't wear them in football because you're going to get them yanked.
Well, they still wear them.
You don't want to be in the wrong end of a chain yanking. Trust me.
But people in MLB do wear chains, and these old time baseball players get so pissed off, like your Bob Walks and people like that. Like that's where the game is now. Deal with it.
Speaking of players who wear chains, we'll move on to the Pirates outfield, where Andrew McCutchen is back in Pittsburgh. And
great segue.
Great segue. Yeah, I mean, Kutch back. He'll probably DH a lot. He's not the player he once was. If you're a Pirates fan who thinks this is 2012, 2014 Kutch around there, it ain't happening.
No,
Reynolds is
a PR move.
Yeah, he's the only really one that's locked into an outfield position. I mean, Kutch will be there, and then after that, I think Jack Sawinski's probably the leading candidate. He has the pop. That's what you're gonna have. But I'm just gonna read off the list of outfielders they have. As
wait, I want to add one that probably would be. I think if Sawinski, if he doesn't start producing like he did last year, if he's kind of that flash in the pan, I think Connor Joe might make a bigger splash than we think. I think that was a good signing. That's a sneaky good signing.
He played first base too, Connor Joe. Okay. He's played there. So
from the Rockies.
Yeah, he went to the Rockies. He was a Pirates draft pick originally. I think he was a supplementary, like late first, early second. That round, whatever. But I think he's the leading candidate to be the fourth outfielder, like Ryan said. But after that, you have Cannon Smith Najigba. His brother's better than him. Probably could be a first-round NFL pick.
State.
Yeah, this guy just can't stay healthy. Travis Swaggerty stinks. Whiff of a draft pick. Can't ever stay healthy. They got him from the Rockies. He's another bust from their farm. So if the Rockies are throwing a prospect away, odds are he ain't any good. That's just picking off one trash heap into the other trash heap. It's not going to work. Cal Mitchell was up a lot last year. Decent bat, but he can't hit the pitcher's mound from the outfield when he's throwing, so I don't really see him projecting to be any outfielder. So I think that, like Ryan said, Connor Joe's there, but that fourth outfielder, especially with Kutch, is kind of a question mark, maybe DHing. Like you said, Juwan Bay may be out there a lot, but they need a solid fourth outfielder, especially if Sawinski or Joe don't really, stay solid this year.
I wouldn't expect Jack Sawinski to come up and knock the cover off the ball like he did. Just hit for average. I'm cool with that. But he does have the pop. He might run into one, but I think they're going to run Kutch out there more often than you think. I think he's going to play probably in the outfield at least 120 games, 100 at the least. So he still has it. He can still track the ball down. He's not going to play your center field. He'll be out, and I'd put him in right field.
I think it's be more of like a bat, though. I think he's going to be a nice, consistent bat.
Yeah,
I think that's what that outfielder spot's going to be. A nice, consistent, like mid to late order, like 5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
kind of bat.
But he can still track it down if he has to out there. Which your right fielder has been questionable for the past few years as well. It's like everything on the right side of the diamond is always in question. It's first base and right field. So I think you run him out there.
I thought a couple years back. So we had Josh Bell, Polanco. Who was at second at that time? Because it was the other end of the field.
Yeah, because that was, and then Newman was there up at second base. So your right side was solid then, but it's really not now.
Yeah. You know what else isn't solid? Their pitching staff, especially that.
There's one guy I think you lock in
there.
Yes,
there's some bright spots. I'd say definitely a bright spot in the closing spot. The rotation, I'd say there's 2, maybe 3. I think 3. One of the 3 that I think are going to be decent is going to be gone by the end of the year.
Walks in the rotation right now.
Who's your ace right now? Who's your opening day starter?
Mitch Keller.
Runzi number 2.
Runzi's number 1.
Who's your starter?
Rawanzi Contreras, number 1.
I think he's the best ceiling pitcher this year. I think he could honestly end the year as the best pitcher, but I just think he needs that experience. I don't know if he's like that. You don't want to give him the opening day starter. I don't think.
I think he's your opening day starter. I think you throw your big dog out there, the guy that you think can get it done and who has the highest ceiling. I don't think
he's the Mitch Keller of last year. I think Mitch Keller took a nice step last year. I think Roansy Contreras is gonna be that Mitch Keller from last year, where he's gonna take a nice step and he'll be your next year opening day. I don't think is Roansy. I think it's next year.
Right.
I think he's your clear 2.
Okay,
but I think I'm just thinking out of respect,
Be Keller.
Out of like a respect kind of thing. I agree that Contreras is probably the best pitcher on the Pirates right now, or I mean starter, not pitcher.
No, yeah.
I just think out of respect, and tip of the hat. Mitch Keller took a big step. He's been in the league for a couple years. He's went through a lot with the Pirates. I think out of respect that he's gonna be on the mound on opening day. That's just my opinion on it.
That's fair.
I agree. So you have those 2 guys which are locked in. Rich Hill locked in as the 3 guy.
He'll be gone.
I'd say JT Brubaker's probably gonna be your 4 starter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no one else really that's pushing for that.
No.
Now the 5th starter. Who's that going to be? They signed Vince Velasquez. He's not a good starter. He's not a good pitcher in general. I don't like that.
Oviedo or whatever.
Johan Oviedo.
Yeah.
Got from
St. Louis or Cincinnati.
The Jose Quintana trade. They got him. All right. He's kind of there. But, you look at the roster, I think Luis Ortiz may be a 5th starter.
I was just going to say, what do you feel about Luis if he could take a step, kind of like Rawanzi did last year? Because he only had a couple innings pitched last year, right?
Yeah, but I think he could push for that 5th starter spot. I mean, I think they're going to give it to Velasquez just because they signed him to do that. They specifically stated they wanted him to be a starter, not come out of the bullpen. But I think he'd be better off as the long reliever coming out of the pen.
Yeah,
but. You look at that, all right, whatever. Nothing else really excites me at the bottom of the rotation. They got those young guys in the minors headlined by Quinn Priester, who should be up relatively soon. But the pitching staff, I think the 5 spot's really the one you have to worry about. And then the bullpen is my biggest concern this year, just staying on pitchers.
Yeah.
So you have David Bednar, obviously all-star closer. You have Colin Holderman. They got from the Mets last year.
He looked good today. I watched him.
Today. Chase DeYoung. Sucks.
And the Will Crow, who had a good beginning of last year, and then the end of last year, he was dog crap. Yeah. So
Yarlene Garcia, who's another guy that's mainly a reliever. I think he might have started at the beginning of his career. Whatever. He's 30. He's probably a reliever. That's your lefty. And then probably Caleb Smith, who's there as a non-roster invitee. Those are your 2 best lefties out of the pen. Because, there's no one else. Yohan Ramirez stinks. Robert Stevenson stinks. Dwayne Underwood stinks.
Dwayne was okay till he got shelled in like back-to-back games last year.
Now he's the Sam Darnold of the MLB.
That's fair.
I don't mind Chase DeYoung either, though. I thought he was solid. Every game I was at last year, he pitched, and I thought he looked pretty decent. I mean, I didn't have any problem with him.
I mean, I think he's a below-average reliever.
He ain't no
But who's your lefty out of the pen? That's my issue. You have no lefties out of the pen.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the woes of this year. Is just the starters if they don't get too far into the game. Like the Pirates are due for that every once in a while. Brubaker, he's up in the air. He either goes 1 inning or 7, 6 or 7. Yeah. He ain't. There's no in between. He's either gonna get shelled in the first, and then he's getting that ball taken from him, or he has a decent outing. I think this is gonna be a big swing year for him too as well. But yeah, I'm afraid of what happens if there's a pitcher doesn't go more than 3 innings. Yeah. It ain't gonna look good.
No.
Shit. I'm still scared. Yeah. I'm still like,
that's 7 and 8 inning until Bednar's in. You're pretty much toast.
I understand where you guys are coming from with you don't have lefty depth out of the pen, which I totally get that. But the game has changed now that you have that three batter rule, unless you pitch the last out of the inning. So the game has evolved there. So you're not running through all these pitches. You're not supposed to, because then that slowed down the game, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. But that would be my only concern out of the pen is your left-handed depth. You have no lefty depth. And here's the other thing. When they were competitive, their bullpen was locked down. As long as their starter went 6 or even 5 at that, and they got into the pen, they called it the Shark Tank for a reason. You didn't want to face that pen. They don't have that right now.
For a couple of years too, they had good closers for like the stretch of like 6, 7 years.
Yeah,
they went to Jason Grilly,
Joel
Hanrahan,
yep.
Melanson, Tony Watson, like we said before.
Yeah.
Who else? Who's the other? Was he the one that sprinted out of the?
Yes.
And I'm not going to say the other one.
Was it Watson? Watson sprinted out.
No, Jared Hughes was the one.
Oh, Hughes, that's it. That's it.
All right. And then we're not going to mention the other one.
Go ahead, mention it.
Out of respect.
Go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not saying.
No. Come on.
I refuse. We're not mentioning it.
Please.
No.
We're going to say the Nightmare because that's what he was.
That's why he changed his name. You know he changed his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think Bednar's the clear closer, and then who do you think the setup guy will be? I think it might be Holderman or
Holderman. I think would probably be
Crow before that.
Yeah,
7-8-9. Crow, Holderman.
Can Will Crow give you some innings here? I'm trying to see.
I think he'll be all right. He had a bad end of the year. I think he'll be ready. He looked all right, I think.
Will Crow's one of them guys that can get out there and be your long guy if you have to.
He was the setup guy last year, I thought, right?
Yeah, he ended up at the end of the year. He was. Yeah. But I'm going to throw 2 names out here from Pirates bullpen past. Both I'd love to have. You know, I was a big fan favorite. This guy, number 1, 5th starter. You know, he could start the 5th game. You know, he needed to start, he would, but a long reliever. He could do both. Do you remember he wore glasses and was nuts on the mound?
Wandy or Anderson? No, I think I remember what was his name?
Van Swirly.
Swirly.
And then the Vanimal.
Yep.
Then my favorite. They got this guy in a trade. He could throw like 102, but you didn't know where the hell the ball was going. We thought he was the closer of the future.
Archimedes Caminero. Hell of a name.
Hell of a name.
That was my first random Pittsburgh athlete on this podcast. Hell of a name.
Back, if I can pick one guy back, Veer Mahan. Current WWE wrestler, former Pittsburgh Pirate. You know it's bad when like most of the former Pittsburgh Pirates, their fame's in a different industry now. One's a WWE wrestler. You have Buffo the Clown, who was a former Pirates, now just a clown that rips phone books in half.
Hayden Hurst, NFL tight end.
Yeah, Hayden Hurst.
People forget.
But yeah. Is that all we got for our Pirates preview? What are we setting? What?
I said that's my Pirates preview. I locked in the 67.5. I'm going to go total wins 73.
I'm going 80. My over-under is 80. I'm saying 80.
So let's set it. Okay. Let's set it at 79.5 for you then. You're taking the over?
Right. I think, I'm just saying, I'm optimistic. I think they're going to play a little better with these veterans on their team. You know, what were they at last year? They were at 67 last year, I'm pretty sure. That was the number to beat last year, I think.
No, they had 100 losses last year.
But that was their over-under last year was 67.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it has been the past couple years.
Okay. So they're better than this year than they were those last 2.
Are they, though? Are they?
I think so.
Okay.
Look at the roster 2 years ago. I want to see what their 2020 roster was. Brian Hayes wasn't even on the team yet. You might have had Reynolds. Polanco was still a starter, I think, in 2020. And he's in, I think, the Dominican Republic League right now, or maybe Japan. I forget.
Yeah, he's over in Asia hitting dingers.
Yeah, he's in Japan. So I'm curious to see who that 2 years ago our starters were.
I'm gonna look exactly what team grade.
I'm saying 79. I'm saying 79.
Write that down. I don't have a pen and paper on me handy.
I'll remember.
All right, 79. I'm gonna take. Oh 79. No. So you're taking 80 wins.
Yeah, I'll take 80 wins total. 80 or over.
Mott's took 73. I 72 is sounding really good for me because that was my football number. You know what? I'm gonna be a rebel. Give me 69 wins.
All right. That's not much off the 67.
It's not. I don't think this is their year. I think if they do succeed that, it's one of them. It's a year early for them. I think they're going to be very competitive. Yes. I think that they might lose a lot of those one-run games this year because they don't have the depth in the bullpen. So for me, that's why I'm going to have to stick close to the 70 or 67 and a half. I'll still take the over for sure. 69 wins, 68, 69 wins. I'll take that. I just think that if they do exceed that, it's just a year early. But I don't think they'll be sellers too much at the deadline. I think they'll be sticking around. They'll have their nose around. But we won't have the hype around it because they're not going to be, Buckeyes are back. I think that's next year. I think next year is the year that we could get excited, very excited for Buckeyes baseball to be back like we were back in 2012, 2013.
So I think, hold on, I want to piggyback off that. The only thing I could see being a seller at the deadline is if the Pirates aren't in contention really at all, which there is a good chance of that.
Yeah.
And Rich Hill is looking, I think Rich Hill, he's going to be that Quintana of last year.
Yeah.
Who was before last year? Wasn't there a Quintana before last year too?
There's a couple every year, honestly.
There's always an old pitcher we get that's on, 1 year deal. Like Quintana to the Cardinals last year. There's one before, I forget.
Trade to the Brewers. I forget who it was, but yeah, it was.
I don't know. But I think that's what's going to happen. Rich Hill, he'd be the only potential player I could see getting moved at the deadline. Maybe a Will Crow. If he's, we're not trading Bednar. Maybe Bednar. Maybe Reynolds. We might see a Reynolds move.
I think you'll see that. If you see Reynolds get moved, you're going to see it way before the deadline. I think you'll even see it before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
That's my feeling. I understand that he's not happy and this and that, but hey, go make your money, man. Make your money. It's a business. Like I've said earlier, it's a business. It comes down to.
Yeah.
All right.
So this preview. I'm staying optimistic. That's final thought.
So to wrap up the baseball talk, I was exploring the Gregory Polanco's still in Japan, and I knew a lot of former Pirates, are playing in Japan now. It seems like it's the 4A of baseball. These guys are too good for AAA. They can't cut in the majors. Dylan Peters, Pirates pitcher from last year. Do you remember Keone Kela?
Yeah.
From the supposed to be him.
Yeah.
Jose Osuna.
Oh, really?
The Tokyo Swallows.
What about Jung Ho Gung?
He's drunk somewhere hitting traffic lights. That's where he's at.
Hey, what did you say? The Tokyo Swallows?
The Swallows, I believe, is the name.
Oh, yeah, they're the same league as the Shanghai Spitters, right?
I mean, the Nip and Ham Fighters are probably my favorite team over there. But, yes.
But, yeah. We'll see. We'll have to do a preview on that here pretty soon. That's baseball talk. What are we going to move on to next? Anybody got Jag of the week? Any Steelers news?
I got something for you.
All right, go ahead.
I'm done for the day. I'm tapping out. I had to do my Japanese research. Dan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. All I'm going to say, and I'm gonna drop names. Paul Zeiss, you're Jag off. And this isn't even my Jag of the week. If you want to sit there and think that it's okay for single, double, and AAA schools to play Catholic schools or charter schools, whatever you want to call them, that can handpick kids out of any school that they want, any district that they want, and say, hey, come play ball for us, we'll give you an education, I think you're a Jag off. Clear cut to the point. When you're a single A, double A, AAA school, your school is not big enough to home grow athletes. You have at single A, what do you have? 30 kids to pick from 9th to 12th. So if you think that that's fair, by all means, you can go kick rocks somewhere. And I'm tired of hearing about it. It's the same thing over and over. It's ridiculous. These kids go out there and they play their hearts out and they get blown out by a school that, we want this kid from here. We want this kid from the North Hills. We want this kid from Woody High. We want this kid from here. And they make a super team. I didn't like it when LeBron went and joined the Heat. I don't like this. So if you want to sit there on your high horse and think that it's okay, now when you get up in the 4, 5, 6A, you have more boys, more kids to pick from, and you can have a decent roster. You can have a better roster. You're cutting kids from the basketball program, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
When you get up into the 4, 5, 6As, whenever you're graduating 300, 400 kids, not these little schools, not Union, not Leechburg, not these little schools. So for you to sit there and think that it's okay and you want to attack these public schools and act like it's okay, that's not okay with me. That doesn't sit well with me. I think you're an asshole. Clear cut. And I actually like Paul Zeiss. That was the only guy on 93.7 that I really liked, honestly. But you want to fall asleep in your chair. You have your board man come in to wake you up because you're doing double duty because you're on KDKA radio in the mornings doing the political jazz. And now you want to, you're doing your late night show on the sports talk. Stick to the political jazz. Why don't you do that?
Yeah. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Dan said it for us. Schools without borders, get your own league. Plain and simple.
Yep.
That's my only opinion on it. I can go much further into it, but yeah, schools without borders, find your own league. Because it ain't cool.
He put out a tweet earlier and it said there was only, I think, one Catholic school that won a championship this year in 1 through 6. Look at last year. 3 out of the 6 were Catholic schools or charter schools, whatever you want to call them. They should have their own league because they can, I call it recruiting. You can recruit, have your own league, have it like the Ivy League or whatever. Have a separate championship, have a separate conferences, and they can all play each other because those schools are. There's no way that Amani Christian. How many kids does that school graduate? Honestly, I don't know. But me back in the day playing North Catholic Bishop Canavan, those were men. You kidding me? That offensive line from Bishop Canavan my senior year could have beat the shit out of the offensive line that the Pittsburgh Steelers had this year. I'm telling you. They were men. They were grown men. They had beards. They averaged, I think it was 6'4", 265 pounds, something like that. No, I get it's unfair. It's an unfair advantage because public schools can't do that. I grew up in a public school, so that hits home for me, and I don't agree with it.
Yeah, it just stinks. I mean, just the sense of community overall, you don't get that. And like Dan said, these kids work their tails off, and it's like, it's a family to them for like probably close to 10 years. And, that's how I see it. So, yeah, that's my thought.
It's a rare episode when you see Dan throw on the Pit Vipers twice and chuck them back off. That's how you know that there's a lot of damn shames going on right now. That's how you know.
And I know you don't want to touch too much on it. And I understand and I respect that. I'll be your voice. That's fine. Because deep down, you don't have to say yes or no, but I know you agree with me. Yes or no. Yeah. It's a damn shame that. And then he even put in a follow-up tweet that, I'm sure those kids from Union are going to be really broken up in 10 years that they didn't win that Whitfield championship. Maybe that was their. They lost last year to a Catholic school. The Bishop Canavan.
Yeah.
So, if I'm a junior last year and I'm a senior this year and I'm losing to Catholic school after Catholic school, and I'm sorry, that game wasn't close either year. So, listen, I'm going to be tore up about it.
Here's what you just even surfed on Twitter. Obviously, it was a hot topic, this weekend with everything going on there. Not every school is like that, and it is legal because the PIA, the WPIAL, has the rules where okay. They're letting it go, so, why wouldn't they do that? Okay, whatever. I'm not saying that one either, but someone actually broke down, how many kids are in each grade. For them to have this many athletes on the roster at this height, whatever, it's less than a 1% chance of that happening.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just read the room and use common sense. And it's nothing against the players or anything like that because they're not the ones, everyone works hard.
Good for them to getting a better opportunity. Good for, honestly, hand up to them. Good for them for getting a better opportunity.
It's the system. It's the system.
But if you're going to keep saying like, it's the public schools that are always, upset about it. Yeah, they have a right to be because kids can go from wherever they want to go to, private institutions, whatever. Public schools are pulling from a certain area.
Yeah.
So, and if you think that that's the problem with it and they're upset about it, they have a right to be. The coach wasn't wrong. You see them that they're the winning coaches are laughing on Twitter, and just Paul Zeiss can go back to his classy cab wherever the hell he drives, because I'm sick of hearing that jamoke twice a day. Rarely do you see someone make an ass of themselves on one radio station, let alone twice in a day. So it's like watching lightning strike twice. But you just want to stir the pot, whatever. Don't look like a jamoke. I put a clown nose on you. That's what we're gonna have to start tweeting out. You act like a clown. I'm sick of the clown takes, because at the end of the day, it's not about the adults. It's not about the coaches. It's about the players and high schoolers it's impacting negatively, and that's where the issue lies.
Yeah.
End of story.
And I'm just gonna touch this at home. I'm not going to mention any names, but I remember a gentleman, I overheard a conversation, and he wasn't too quiet about it, but he said that he was talking to a St. Joe's coach. Okay. And the St. Joe's coach was like bitching that he only had certain kids to pull from. Whenever this other coach from a public school said, well, I have Gilpin, Leechburg, and West Leechburg to pull from. Like, come on now. That's what it comes down to. If you can handpick your team, and Mott's, I saw the tweet you were talking about. They said for, like, let's say Penn Hills to have 2 kids that are 6'7" or above, there'd have to be 1,000 kids graduating per class.
Yeah.
So when you just want to make a super team and you want to act like you don't want to have class when you win, and you want to, oh, we won. Yeah, you created a super team. You made the Miami Heat. Of course you should win. It would be embarrassing if you lost. And that's what doesn't sit right with me is the classness, or the people that don't win with class, and they act like, oh, well, we won. We won a WPIAL title. Look at your lineup. Exactly. You should win. So it's the character of people that doesn't sit right with me, and then people that want to defend that.
And my final point is, like, Mark Stanley, I can see why he is upset after it, because from a coaching perspective, you have the same group of kids, the majority of the same group, the whole way through elementary up into the high school. And then you have teams that are basically having new roster, a different roster every year. And from a coaching perspective, yeah, you're allowed to be upset about that. He's not being a sore loser like we lost. Wins and losses as a coach, that's what's going to happen during a season. That's just life. But how it happens and how the odds are stacked against, and the one that frustrates, the quote that I kept seeing frustrate me the most was, "We'll get back in the gym and work harder." That we played that Union team last year. That is one of the best teams we have ever played against, offensively, defensively, every which way.
Yeah,
they won with class. We've had, even in our section, we're playing Claret and Jeanette. Those are damn good teams. They beat us. We split each time. Was there any animosity? No. Those guys, every team works hard in every section. There's not teams that just go out there. So, don't say work harder, because everyone knows what the odds are whenever it's stacked like that. And the fact that there's it's 95% of people feeling that way about how it should be split up, and then 5% just kind of rubbing it in. That's what irritates me, because, like I said, the last thing to say, it ain't about the coaches. It ain't about the wins and losses. It's about how it's impacting the players. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. And I'll bring it back real quick and touch on it. Look at football, for instance, because I played football, so it's near and dear to me. I understand Clareton was the house in Class A. It didn't matter what Catholic school was coming in. They were beating you because they played. Football's a different sport there, right? You have these kids come together at Pee Wee and they play. But then you look back when we were in school, there was only 4As. PCC, Pittsburgh Central Catholic, dominated Quad A. Dominated. You just wrote them in the championship game. I remember, I think it was Whitehall beat them in the finals by like 3. And they said if they would have played 10 times, PCC would have won 9 of them. That one night, Whitehall ended up winning. So I know you have those outliers there, but a lot of times you have these teams, they just dominate, and it's just I don't think it's fair to the kids, the schools that have to play against these other dominant schools, these other schools that can handpick whatever they want, and I don't agree with it.
Well, that's all I got for today.
Yep.
I'm ending it from my end. I'm out of the end.
Yeah, I don't really have any Jags of the week, so I mean, yeah. I can't think of anything that stuck out. Nothing stupid happened to me this week, so
I have one if you guys want me to give it real quick.
I thought that was your one.
No,
Yeah, go
no,
ahead.
I said that wasn't my Jack. So real quick, coming home from the mall today, and we were down by Valley High School, and this car come flying down the hill, and had this fur all over him, and I looked at Amanda, I was like, and she looked at me, started laughing. Some dude had his like fluffy dog all wrapped up on him. I thought it was like a fur mink coat. So if you drive with a small dog on your lap or wrapped up around your neck, you're a Jag in my book.
Jeez. All right, well, let's wrap her up. We got a consensus Jag, so yeah, all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, share and like it. We'll tweet out the link for I think Discord here pretty soon. Whenever I'm in.
I gotta figure out how to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's beyond my grade of knowledge, but
I'll get it.
yeah. This is our Pirates preview. I thought it went pretty well. We're excited for baseball to start. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. Subscribe to our YouTube. We got 200 sub special coming up soon. Still gotta think of what we're doing. 300 probably on the way in about 2 months at this point. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share our stuff with your immediate family and friends. So, bye.